We made these workshops, tried to make them a little different, more interactive and interesting than the usual panel discussions. We sent out 3 challenges ahead of time to get you interested in the topic and also give you some information.
The first challenge is here on the question, why is there no global democracy, and what are the democratic deficits of global governance as we know it? The power of member states over global institutions, that there are organizational challenges, because leaders have failed to have peace and have resorted to conflicts for so long. We have also an answer because of the UN Security Council veto, power issue, and lastly, of course, the political will. So the second challenge, who supports the UN Parliamentary Assembly, and which nation even has parliamentarians that support the idea? We have anywhere between 1,600 members of parliament, 1,700 members of parliament from either 100 countries or 135 countries. The third challenge, what are the technical details of the UN Parliamentary Assembly campaign that you find interesting or even problematic? There are questions about, could it work? Can the organization be driven by sustainable development goals? There is also comment about that there are too many parliaments. Also comment about how UNPA could be established by simple vote within the General Assembly based on the UN Charter.
Another organization central to the We the People's campaign is Democracy Without Borders. They are the leading organization involved in the campaign for the UN Parliamentary Assembly, which is why we are so extremely happy to welcome Andreas Bummel here today, who is the director of Democracy Without Borders, and also Ivone Soares, who is a member of the Mozambican Parliament and is a long-term supporter of the UNPA.
We have many levels that need to be addressed. First, of course, why do we need it? What is the character of the democratic deficit that the proposal wishes to address? Then how can it be established? Technically, how would it be designed? And of course, what needs to be done and can be done to push forward its implementation. I need to stress that the best way to understand the proposal of UN Parliamentary Assembly is to look at it as a process and not as a final goal. It would start in a certain shape and form, in a certain way, but the idea really is that once that has been achieved, that the Assembly would develop further, actually up to the point of becoming a real global parliament. The creation of the Assembly could be done by the UN General Assembly itself using Article 22 of the UN Charter. It would move probably from indirect to direct elections. At the beginning, it would be basically a forum and an oversight, a watchdog at the UN. But over time, it could perhaps develop together with the UN General Assembly into a real world legislature. In the UN Parliamentary Assembly, it wouldn't even be possible to actually identify countries because countries are not members. Who are members in the Parliamentary Assembly, that is individual representatives. They certainly come from some, their origin is, some country, but they are not there to represent that country, but they are there to represent the best interest of humanity.
So this next part will be our discussion, which will be kicked off by Yvonne passionately arguing for the UNPA.
I fear that we are not prepared. We need strong global institutions that can deal with global challenges more effectively. We need the collaboration that goes behind the interest of individual governments. We need global institutions that have sufficient legitimacy for effective global action. This legitimacy can be provided by a parliamentary body that represents the voice of the people. And the UN Parliamentary Assembly would be a central world forum of elected representatives that provides for fair representation of all people over the world.
What incentives are there for countries like maybe China that might not basically fit into this nice chart of the political spectrum idea that, like, why would they support this?
Each continent has their own problems, but in the end, all the people are seeking for good governance. All the people are seeking for democracy. All the people are seeking to have someone that listens to their voice, to their problems, and someone is taking care of their rights. And for that, I think it's important to push this movement and to make sure that we can have this UN Parliamentary Assembly where all countries can make sure that global institutions works for what they stand without corruption, without all these big problems that we face daily in the poorest countries.
If you are interested in more direct democratic tools on the global level, you can come back to this workshop in 2 weeks on the 25th of August. It's the same link, it's the same time. We will send the challenges beforehand. Thank you very much.